Okay, good morning, everybody. So, today we're going to be doing the same as we did yesterday. We're going to be looking at some sick sentences. So we've got the example here on the screen now. So you've got, he looked out of the window. It was snowy, he was scared, he could see something. And then over here, we've got the picture. Okay. Now what I'm going to do today is the same as I did yesterday, but I'm going to talk you through the thought process just a little bit more. Okay, so the first thing is to have a look at that picture to decide what sort of emotions that we're feeling, what sort of angle we want to go down. So the first thing that I can see is all of this machinery. Oops. All of this machine, he says, for the third time. All of this, there you go, machinery in the background, which makes me think very sort of old age explorer, or what we would call steampunk. Okay. So quite steampunky, noisy, dirty as well. Quite dirty, sort of throw out a lot of pollution. He's an explorer. You can see from his sort of get-up here that he's an explorer. You can see bits of snow here. He's dressed for cold weather, and that looks like snow. So we're looking at a snowy setting, which I think, does it say that already? Yeah, it says it already in the sentence, doesn't it? So we've got the snowy setting, so we could be thinking of some description for that. And then the most important thing, which again, it says he was scared, he could see something. If you look at his eyes there, he's just caught sight of something that's terrified him. So, the structure for my sentence, what I'd like it to be, or my couple of sentences, is I'd like there to be a little bit of action. So we're looking at some action when we join this character. So I need my writing to feel quite fast-paced from the beginning. So I want a bit of action, and then I want to build up a sense of unease or a sense of suspense or fear. Okay. Now I've already got an idea of how I can do that at the very end. Okay. So we're going to start with a bit of action, build up to suspense / fear. So he looks out of the window. So I'll have him looking out the window. I'll keep the same ideas, but I don't want to start with that. So we're going to start with a great big bit of action. Okay. So I'm going to pretend, and by all means you can do the same when you're doing your writing. I'm going to pretend it might just be the beginning of a story, beginning of a chapter, or we've just joined this character. Okay. So I'm going to start. Grab your attention straight away with bang. Okay, and that bang is going to be part of the machinery maybe malfunctioning or blowing up. So bang, the pistons had blown. That's a rubbish. Oh, forget that. I'm not having that, am I? The pistons had blown again. Now, piston is just part of an engine, but it just makes it sound. Even if you don't know, hopefully you know it's part of the machinery. So you can see that the machinery is malfunctioning. So I'm using very specific language there. The machine had gone wrong. Doesn't sound very good. The pistons had blown again. The pistons had blown again. Bang! The pistons had blown again. They'd only. Do I want to say that? The pistons had blown again. No, I'm going to cut that out and we're going to focus directly on the actions. I was going to say something along the lines of they were only just replaced, blah blah blah. But I'm getting off sight of what I want to say. I'm telling you a story there. I'm going off on a different tangent. So I'm going to keep it direct to what's happening in this cockpit. Okay, the pistons are blown again. The jolt of the worn. That says one now. Apologies. Metal finally giving way. Had caught the man. Unawares. Unaware, actually. Caught the man unaware. So what could he have been doing? The jolt of the worn metal finally giving way had caught the man unaware. Okay, I'm going to try and build up a little bit of character here. He had been. I want to say busy, but I don't know whether busy is the best word. He had been. You might be able to think of a better synonym than me for busy. He had been. Not enthralled. Enthralled's the wrong word. He had been. Well, we'll put busy, and then I can come back to it if needs be. He'd been busy. Plotting his route across the ice fields. He'd been busy plotting his route across the ice fields for the next few days. Oh, that's stopped, isn't it? Oh no, it hasn't. Sorry, it stayed up. He'd been busy plotting his route across the ice fields for the next few days. Okay. Now, the idea of it being across ice fields, for me, it feels quite. I should have written it as well. Fantasy. This doesn't feel like it's taking place in the real world for me. It's sort of a fantastical version of the world. So this idea of this intrepid explorer traversing ice fields pulls into that. I could have just said across the ice or across the snow, but the idea of it being ice fields makes it sound a little bit more fantasy for the next few days. Okay, I want the engine, the vehicle, to get out of control now. The pistons had blown again. The jolt of the warm metal finally giving way had caught the man unaware. He'd been busy plotting his route across the ice fields for the next few days. Suddenly, he was called to action. The bit of an opportunity for description of the vehicle here. The ancient vehicle. Heaved. Left. Suddenly. The man. In fact, I'm going to go back. Has I put the man anywhere else? No. No, I'll leave it. I was going to capitalise the man and make him the name, but I've changed my mind. Heaved suddenly, and the man. And the man. Oh, the ancient vehicle. I've lost my train of thought now. The ancient vehicle heaved left suddenly, and the man fought the movement. With all his might. It felt like trying to tame a wild horse. Okay, so I've used a bit of felt like, so it's a simile. It felt like trying to tame a wild horse. I'm going to have to move my page on. It says it felt like trying to tame a wild horse. The man. Holding on for dear life. Glanced quickly quickly away from the controls. Just once. No, quickly away from the controls. Quickly away from the controls. Just a blink. No, quickly away from the controls for just a blink of an eye. He felt his blood run cold. I might have used that one yesterday. I have a feeling I did. He felt his blood run cold. It had only been, and this is where you've done the action. Now we're going to start building up the suspense. Okay, so you need shorter sentences. You need to be inside the person's head. You need to be adding a layer of confusion, but you need at the very end to hook. You need to hook the reader and make them read on. Okay, he felt his blood run cold. It had only been a brief glance. Too brief for many to have noticed anything. And then I'm going to build up a bit of mystery about my character. Too brief for many to have noticed anything, but this man. Don't want to start with but there. This man. And then I'm going to transition out to very short sentences. Okay, this man was not anybody. Was not too brief for many. This man was. This man was trained. You'll notice as I speed up, my handwriting goes absolutely awful. I'm not very used to writing on here. This man was trained to notice things. Full stop. And what he had noticed. Out there. In the unexplored depths of the ice fields. What he had noticed had been a figure. The shape of a man. A man with glowing eyes. And then I'm going to break a couple of rules here because I'm going to start with the word and. Okay, I'll tell you why in just a second. And he. And he had been moving closer. There you go. Okay. The full stop and then the and is because I don't want the continuation of that sentence. I want it to stop and I want some almost processing time. So when you read it through, let me start from the top. The man, holding on for dear life, glanced quickly away from the controls for just a blink of an eye. He felt his blood run cold. So there, you've got a longer sentence, and then this was the result. He's scared. It had only been a brief glance, too brief for many to have noticed anything. Excuse me. This man was not like many people, though. This man was trained to notice things. So my choice of language there by repeating this man here allows you, when you read it out loud, to put a bit of emphasis on that. This man wasn't anybody. This man was trained to notice. And what he had noticed out there in the unexplored, and what he had noticed out there, can't read my own writing, and what he had noticed out there in the unexplored depths of the ice fields had been a figure, the shape of a man with glowing eyes, and he had been moving closer. So by those short sentences, you can leave lots of dramatic pauses in there. Okay, so here, can I? No. So there, you've got loads of information about him. You've got, he's an explorer, his machine's broken, he's looked outside, he's in ice fields, and there's a figure coming towards him. And I'm not expecting you to have written as much as I've written there. I just sort of got caught up with it. But you can see how he looked out the window, it was snowy, he was scared. It leaves you so much opportunity, but you've got so many questions. Okay, now you've still got questions with what I've written, but they're questions that I've wanted in there because I want to get you on the hook. Okay, so my idea for that one, as I've said, is to have a bit of action at the beginning, which I feel like I had. He's got an out-of-control machine, and then to build up your suspense or your fear, and focus on this idea of being a fantasy element, which is why, right at the very end, he's got glowing eyes. Okay. You may well have chosen to go a completely different direction with your writing. That's absolutely fine, as long as you can see there the amount of writing that you can get out of something like that, and the different sentence structures. So you've got a verb, an adverb opener there. I did start most of my sentences with very straightforward things, but it's because it was action. Because a lot of it was action, I just wanted it to continue on. I wanted to get through it quickly. It shouldn't be an opportunity for lots of description. It should be action. It should be things happening. You've got an embedded clause here, holding on for dear life. In fact, I didn't put the other comma there. So you've got an embedded clause there. You've got some. You've got another embedded clause here. You've got some sentence skills, but like I said, most of it is just focusing on getting the storyline out, which suits at this part. Didn't suit yesterday's if you watched yesterday's, because it's description of a setting. You need to sort of build up what they're seeing. Okay. I would love to see your examples as well. I have rattled on a little bit on this one today, so I do apologise, but I hope that you enjoyed what I've written. And like I said, I would love to see what you've written as well. You can leave them in the comments below. I know some of you did yesterday. You can leave them in the comments below, or you can send them to me through Class Dojo. I would love to have a read of yours as well. Thank you.